audience is kind of one of the cruxes of everything that I'm going to be talking about for the next 2 days. And it really, nearly everything that you do goes back to who the audience for the film is. And you need to be as specific as possible in terms of who your audience is. So I have this kind of 3-step top-bow audience evaluation, which is, kind of really simple, but I don't know if I've seen everyone outside of like maybe business schools talk about it in this way. And that is, number one, who is your audience or audiences? And you need to be as specific as possible. Where do they receive information and recommendations? And then how do they consume media? Is anyone familiar with the long tail? Chris Anderson's long tail, a few people. So the first thing that we need to talk about in terms of audience is mass versus niche, okay? And kind of leaving the world of mass audience behind. So essentially, my version of the long tail is that on the y-axis is audience size, and then on the x-axis is number of audiences or various different audiences or how many different kinds of audiences there are. However you want to say it. These are audiences for product, and this is the size of the audience, okay? So, for instance, when you're thinking about who your audience is, it's not 18 to 25-year-old boys. It's not 35 to 55-year-old women. I mean, this is still, I get this. I was in a conference in Copenhagen, and I was consulting with some young documentary filmmakers, and there was a film that dealt with a small town in Greece during World War II and dealing with a women's group. And who's the audience for your film? 35 to 55-year-old women all across the world. Oh, really? That's really interesting. And maybe in a sense in their mind, that's who they're making their film for, and that's fine. But that's not going to be the initial audience for that film. Okay? So it's in general not any large unspecified demographic, as I've just said, essentially what that is. They're just essentially too expensive to market to. So essentially you have, I don't know, this wherever you want to draw this line, to the left of it is the realm of studio films and mass audience. This is essentially the realm of $100 million box office plus, and $100 million P&A. Unless you have $100 million, you're just leaving this alone to start with. And frankly, if you're in this room, you don't have $100 million to market your films, right? So you're in the realm of this is what is called the long tail, okay? Your audience are niche audiences. So what are niches? A niche is a slice of the mass audience focused on a particular interest or interests. They are accessible and you can afford to market to them. These are the slices, these are little individual niches along the long tail, and each of these is an individual audience. So they're also known as verticals, okay? So what I always say is get out of the film vertical, and every single other filmmaker is shouting to that same vertical, the film vertical, which is why I say get out of the film vertical as quickly as possible. You might still eventually use the film vertical, you want to get reviews out of the film vertical, you'll get some of your audience from the film vertical. But if you spend all your resources going after the film vertical, it's just maybe not the best allocation of your resources. I'll just put it that way.